Oh. Okay. Today, I will be talking about globalization and how it's has a positive effect on the American society. For you who don't know what globalization means, globalization is a process of international integration arising from the exchange of worldviews, product ideas, and other aspects of culture. So basically saying that products that come from other places we sell, we sell, they get, vice versa. Okay. Globalization helping the economy. Jobs are, main companies like Nike, Apple, big name companies like that, yes, they give jobs to overseas. There was statistics from the government saying that there was at least 20,000 jobs given out overseas in December of 2012, but as of April 2nd, 2013, Apple alone gave at least 80,000 jobs to the American population, which was, 20,000 jobs that were given overseas was from Apple too, but we also gave 80,000 to American jobs too. We're not a country how we used to be, like in the early economic boom in the 1950s, where supply and demand was very high for our nation. Nowadays, it's to the point that an iPhone is more in demand than a car, just because there's already so many cars that you can buy that people want the newest phone out on the market with. There's also other positive values in globalization, as in we encourage free trade to other countries like India or China. Markets like Apple or Nike take into perspective that their minimum wage isn't what our minimum wage is necessary to. So, in California, it's $8 of minimum wage, and China, the minimum wage over there is $150. So, compared to our standards of money, in a manufacturing job like an Apple, they offer $150 to $2.20 in China, and from websites that I was researching, most of them always came up that at least $150 is necessary for an adult and one child to live off of. Also, in the week wage, you need at least $8.21 to live off of. If you work for $8 an hour every day, you eventually make at least $12 at least for that week, which is enough to live off. Globalization also opens up views on the world. Like, let's say there's like a new fast food store. It doesn't hurt your culture as so, because, if there's like a new store that opens up on the block, it's not really going to affect the culture that you're in, unless there's multiple of these one stores opening up in like at least one street. Then it starts closing off the culture of the street, but it doesn't close off the culture of the entire area. My last say would have to be with that. I believe that globalization is necessary, just due to the fact that we're not just going to be. We don't just produce all what we need here in the United States. We also need materials from other out-of-state areas, like products that we can't grow. They can grow way more efficient than we can. So it's better to barter with other nations and just be closed-minded and just keep to ourselves. Thank you.
right, Ivan, I'm a little confused because it sounds like you're making an argument in favor of globalization, and I'm not sure if that is a counterclaim based on what the advocate's claim was, or if it is your own inference based on research that you've done. There's not really any reference as to what the issue is that is in dispute. What did the advocate say? What were their claims used to support it? What evidence did they present to support their claims? I've got nothing in regard to any of that in your argument. And so I basically am left with a general argument about the need for globalization and what the potential benefits of globalization are. There's a vague reference to the advocate's evidence on the number of jobs that Apple built in China, for instance, 20,000 versus the number of jobs that we have in the United States. I thought that was the closest that you came to directly confronting the claims that the advocate presented, but that was, in essence, coincidental application of the information as far as I could tell. It didn't seem like you were applying it in a particular way, and that needs to be a lot clearer. So you need to tell us, their claim is that globalization is having a negative effect. The first negative effect is that it's losing jobs. I've got a counterclaim. My argument is that, in fact, jobs are increased as a result of globalization. So I can contrast what the arguments are. To be honest, it's been a couple of weeks since we heard the argument, so I don't, if we were hearing you immediately after the advocate's point, then this might make a little bit more sense. But as an oral presentation in this context, it's problematic that you don't cite what the advocate's argument is as part of the organizational structure. So that I think is a problem. I did think that you had a good piece of evidence, like I said, on the Apple jobs. I thought that was okay. The explanation about the U.S. minimum wage versus the China minimum wage, I'm not sure why that applies to the argument at all. If the advocate was saying that the Chinese are being exploited in some way because we're paying them so much less, and your argument is that the exploitation is not any greater, or it is basically the same kind of level of wage that's being paid to U.S. workers, then I guess that argument makes some sense. But like I said, otherwise I don't know why it is that I'm hearing this comparison of the wages between the U.S. and the Chinese, $8 an hour versus $1.50 an hour, and how much you need to live on in each place. That needs to be explained, because otherwise it's out of context. And then finally, this argument about our views of the world are going to be changed in some way. I'm not sure, like I said, how your argument responds to this. It sounds like it's a hypothetical example. It's a hypothetical denial example. If we open a store from someplace else, it's not really going to change our culture. Okay, who says it is? Is there any argument that says that we are changing the culture someplace else in a negative way, or are we worried about somebody coming from someplace else and changing our culture? Damn, the Chinese bought the Chinese theater down in Hollywood, and now we're only going to be watching Chinese movies or something. I don't know why this argument exists in the presentation that's being given here, and that's another reason why it's important to tell us what the advocate's claims were. All right, thank you.